Hey. Wait. Seems like there's some chittering going on. Give me one moment. All right. Okay. Hey, hello. It is I, your armored VTuber, Ryu Shinden, armored fighter by day. Well, sorry, I keep on messing this up. Salaryman by day, armored VTuber by night, and whatever my work schedules allow me. Oh my god, I keep on messing this up. And anyway, welcome to yet another stream. And again, it's been a while again because, well, apparently I wasn't able to stream for quite a while due to some personal stuff. But I'm back. And this is yet another start of the week. Monday for you Braves in the Western Hemisphere, but here it's already Tuesday. It's already Tuesday midnight. So this is the start of the week, and again, I do apologize if I wasn't able to stream in the past few days, as I'm dealing with some personal stuff. Well, nothing to worry about. It's just personal responsibilities that I have to look into, and also at the same time, I was quite busy. Literally, not really forcing, but suggesting to myself harder, I guess, that I need to finish up a lot of videos that I need to edit for the YouTube channel. Because guess what? We do have a YouTube channel. We actually do have a YouTube channel. It's the link is down below in the doobly-doo. You can actually click that. It will take you to the main YouTube channel. And when I say I was editing videos, I was actually editing videos for the main channel, not for the VODs channel. The VODs channel will mostly have the unedited VODs from the streams from Twitch. Basically, the VODs YouTube page is basically my archive page for archiving the streams, since Twitch only keeps or is only save VODs for a certain amount of time, and after that it gets deleted. But at least in YouTube, whenever I upload them to YouTube, it's always there, and it's always there until I delete them, or the whole channel gets deleted for some reason, which hopefully that's not something that would happen. But yeah, besides personal stuff, I've been also working in the background, editing some videos and such. Also some planning, since as you might have noticed, we are only two away from 50 followers on Twitch. So we're actually really close. We're really close, literally, to 50 followers. Again, I am not the kind of person that counts followers, because I don't know. It's just a personal preference mostly. I don't really look up on the followers count, because for me, I feel like for me, as long as I'm doing this, if you follow. If you like the content that I put out, you can go ahead and follow. But if not, that's perfectly fine. Even if you can just lurk around, see, feel things, see what it's like to watch this stream. It's perfectly fine. So that's why I don't really look at that follower account that much, or I don't really worry about it, or I don't shill it all the time, because It's really up to you guys. If you wanted to follow, it's really up to you. If you like what you see, you can go ahead and follow. But if you don't hit that follow button, that's perfectly fine as well. You can just watch the stream, you know. So yeah, but yeah, it is definitely close to 50 followers, and as I mentioned in the couple streams, I will be actually doing something special for the 50 followers special. I will be doing something unique for the stream and something to show my appreciation for those who actually gave a follow and supported the Twitch channel and supported what I do. So I am still in the works for that in the background, doing some things, and I will let you know once we hit 50 followers. So be on the lookout for that. And I wanted to make sure that I show my appreciation for the support as properly as possible, the best of my abilities. So yeah. So anyway, what else are we doing today? Let me see. Let me see the agenda here. Well, we do have an agenda. I did say it on Twitter, but I'm just looking up on other things that I might need to address here. So anyway, our main thing today is to delve into a tabletop role-playing system. This could be a series. Hopefully, this could be a series that I can continually make. Which is called Tabletop Dive, which is primarily a series wherein we discover and try to learn, try to delve into tabletop role-playing game systems, whether it's old or new, big or small, D&D related or not. We will actually take a look at them and see the rules, the system, the character creation, the concept of the system, the game mechanics, and so on and so forth. The thing is, we will just do like basically a skim. We're just skim through the things that a certain tabletop role-playing game system has to offer in terms of like the core mechanics and whatnot. We're not really gonna dive into a lot deeper into a particular system. Well, that is, if you like to, that's perfectly fine. I will do it, but basically what Tabletop Dive is just like an overview, like a surface level overview of whatever tabletop role-playing game systems that we're trying to learn currently. And currently, we are trying to learn Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So that's what we're doing today. But before that, okay, so I remember now. You might have noticed, and I did say this earlier, you might have noticed that I have not been streaming lately, and again, I really do apologize about this. Again, as much as I wanted to do it constantly, there are some just personal stuff that is on the background that I need to take care. That's why I wasn't able to stream. Just to give you a heads up, I will try with whatever I can do, the best of my abilities, to stream on a more constant basis. But just to let you know, and just to give you a heads up, give you proper expectations. The streams are sporadic. Okay, it's not something that I can promise that I will be able to stream on this certain day. Blah blah blah. Unless I really like announce it in an official manner. Um, there will be times that wouldn't be able to stream on a certain day, on a certain time that people would most expect that I'll be streaming. Rather, I will be streaming on days that I can stream, just like today. Again, this is due to personal stuff that I need to take care of IRL, and also, again, this is something that I have been saying for so long. I am the kind of person that unless I feel 100%, I wouldn't do a thing unless I feel 100%. Because it distracts me from doing the thing if I'm not 100% into the thing. Um, so yeah. So just to set proper expectations. There will be times that I won't be able to stream, but again, that also means that there will be times that I might stream on certain days that you think I will not stream. I might do some guerrilla streams, some surprise ones, if I like to. Even at times that I don't usually stream, I may stream. Because streaming is actually fun. Streaming is fun for me. It's a fun distraction for me, uh, and also it's a fun activity to be able to share. Things that I like, I'm passionate about, and yeah. So I will be streaming, and I will actually stream probably on unusual times. So that's why I'm just giving you a heads up, right? So anyway, enough of me. How are you guys? How are your week? And oh, I forgot. I forgot. I'm sorry about this. To all of my braves that are celebrating this, I actually greet you. I want to greet you a happy Chinese New Year, and it is the year of the rabbit, I believe. Celebrating the year of the rabbit. And for those of you who celebrate it, happy Chinese New Year. I'm not gonna do the. I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna say it in Mandarin. I'm not gonna say it in Cantonese because my pronunciation is not good. And I don't want to butcher it. Don't want to just disrespect the language. If I know I cannot speak it properly, I won't speak it. You know. But I'll just I'll just greet you. Happy Chinese New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. So anyway, with that out of the way, we can go ahead and go to the main agenda for this stream, which is doing a tabletop dive to a tabletop role-playing system called Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Now, here's what I wanted to do first, okay? Here's what I wanted to do first. Let me change the music here. Let me load up some appropriate music that we usually do. We usually hear or we usually play on stream. Just give me one moment. And while I'm doing this, I actually discovered something. That I feel that now that I discovered this thing, I feel that I have been living under a rock. Even though I thought that I know everything, but apparently I have been living under the rock for not doing this. Apparently, uh, recently I decided to actually use Opera GX as my internet browser, and boy oh boy, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of things by not using this. Everything that I have been doing got better in terms of like internet access and surfing the net ever since I started to use Opera GX. I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by Opera. I'm not sponsored in any way. This is not a hat. This is not an hashtag ad. Uh, but boy oh boy, I am starting to fall in love with Opera GX. This is a very very good browser. It fixed a lot of things that Chrome has and more. In terms of like uh usefulness as a as a web browser, and I now feel that I have missed I am missing out on this. And the thing is I know streamers and content creators that have been using Opera GX as their browser. I know some of them, but I didn't realize how good this browser is. Like, oh my god, it's so good. Why didn't why I didn't use this? So yeah, that's what I discovered uh recently. So just give me one moment here. Let me check if I can do this thing. Okay. Okay. Let me lower it down appropriately because last time I was actually checking my VODs, and apparently I wasn't able to balance out my audio again for the nth time, so I was kind of miffed about it, but it should be good now. No, let for you those in chat, just let me know in chat if the volume is too loud or the volume is too soft for the background music, because again, unless I actually do it, I actually check it, I will not be able to see to know if I will not be able to know right away if the audio is balanced enough. Anyway, let me check if this is loop. Okay, so this is loop. Alright. Okay, so first things first, before anything else, before we dive into learning Pathfinder second edition, before we learn all about it, I want to tell something about why we're even doing this in the first place, because uh, you see, this is literally happened like a couple of hours ago. Um, I actually watched a video of a content creator. I watched a video on YouTube wherein the guy who made a video is basically, the whole gist of it is basically he is trying to answer a question that uh, from something that he noticed recently with the tabletop role playing game community, and this is in regards with the whole OGL fiasco, which we will talk about a little later. We'll definitely talk about it later because some things actually happened. Um, so basically, what he was talking about is why is it just now that a lot of people are looking into other tabletop role playing game systems? Now that there is an issue with Wizards of the Coast and the whole OGL fiasco and all of those things, why is it only now that people are looking into learning and playing other systems more than ever? This is something that did not happen before, you know? and why is it only happening now that there's a lot of people who wanted to learn other RPG systems and looking into RPG system. Well, and I thought I wanted to actually combine my thoughts about it, both in why am I doing this series, the tabletop dive, and why more than ever I am now motivated more than ever to learn other tabletop role playing systems, and why is why I am saying that OGL is actually not the reason why I'm doing this whole series, and doing all of these efforts to learn a new tabletop role playing system. Because believe me, that the OGL issue is actually not the main reason why, but I would admit that it was one of my biggest motivators on why am I doing this. It is not the main reason, but it is, I would admit, a motivator. So the video is fascinating because he talked about all the possible reason why, as from his standpoint, from his perspective, on why our people are doing this now. And I just wanted to provide my main reasons why I'm even bothering learning a new system when there's just D&D that I can focus on. And the reason why I would say that it is actually not the OGL issue that made this. You see, I have been playing tabletop RPGs for quite a while now, and well, I would say that I am, not 20, 30 plus experience. I have only been playing and DMing tabletop role playing games for around 6 or 7 years. I think it's 7 years now at this point. And my main system was Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. That's my main system. Now I wanted to put emphasis on that statement. That is my main system. D&D 5e is my main system because while I did start with D&D 5th edition, that is literally my start of like my fascination with tabletop role playing games. In terms of like actual play, that was my main system that I go to, but it is actually not the whole reason why I was into tabletop role playing game systems. As a matter of fact, the idea and the concept of role playing and role playing games is something that I already know even before I was introduced in D&D 5th edition, because I was hearing Dungeons and Dragons. But not only that, that's because even before I was introduced with the genre of tabletop role playing games, I was already into the idea of role playing because of video games, because of RPGs, role playing games, which is the video under the video game, thing. Role playing games as a subgenre of video games. That's literally the reason, my start technically, because during that time, whenever I play a role playing a video game RPG game, let's say I was playing Final Fantasy 7 or Chrono Trigger or something like that. I was always thinking about the concept of what if we're able to pretend as these characters, but instead of like relying on what the game choices, what the choices presented to us by the game through programming, because during the time I already had like a concept of like what programming is and what coding is in the most basic level, because I'm aware that video games need to be programmed by an individual, and something like that. Because it was done on a computer, I already have a concept of what of game creation is, video game creation is, in terms of like programming and coding. And even back then, I already have like a this idea that whenever I play role playing games, I this idea always is always in my head that what if, let's say I'm playing Trigger. What if I actually play as Chrono, and me, Ryu Shinden, would be able to control Chrono's actions way beyond on what the video game tells me to do, or what the video game provides me as options. So let's say, I don't know if some of you played Chrono Trigger, but let's just say that this is on the starting scene. So this is one of the starting scenes, so it's not really like a spoiler and whatnot. On the first few hours of Chrono Trigger, I remember that you would need to go into this certain festival, right? Because that's what your mom told you to do. I remember. You are now playing as Chrono, and your mother is telling you that there's a festival out there, in the next city or the next town, and you might want to go there. Spend some time, have some fun. And what Chrono did, or what you do as a player, is to actually go to that other town to attend the festival. And I already have like, even when I was little, I already have like this gnawing, this idea gnawing at my head back then, my tiny brain back then. What if there is a video game or a role playing game wherein I chose not to go to that festival. I chose not to go to that what you call it, town festival, and go instead to the other side. Let's say to Marl's castle, or in a forest somewhere, just because I wanted to ask Chrono. You know, what if we someone had that system or that kind of video game wherein you are free to do anything and everything? Well, it's kinda like how open world games are nowadays, but more open than that. So what if that's the case, And from that time, I believe that is during that time that I was kinda introduced in the concept of role playing, open role playing. And then years later, I was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons by one of my friends who lent me his copies of 3.5 edition D&D. And I started to read it, and I was very fascinated on the concept of being able to create a character and controlling them, unlike a video game would let you control a character. Like, we're talking about every decision that you make is on you as the player who is role playing the character. Your character is well, not really totally free, but very open to actions that you can do. It's very open on the actions that you can do, and what fuels it is your imagination and putting yourself into the character's shoes through role playing. What would your character do as a character? And that fascinated me more with the whole genre of D&D. So that's why I mentioned earlier that D&D was my main system. But what I'm going with this is, even if my D&D is my main system, that doesn't mean that it was my main reason why I'm playing tabletop role playing games. The main reason why is I am in love with the concept of tabletop role playing itself as a concept. To be able to role play as a character and have the freedom to do to make choices for your character that that are not bound by like programming or coding or limitations of like computer memory or whatnot, because the main engine of the game is your brain, your imagination. Your imagination will create the assets. Your imagination will create the trees, the grass that your character is stepping on, the rocks, the water flowing, everything. You know, as long as your imagination can imagine it, you can envision it through tabletop role playing. So while I started with D&D 5th edition, that is not the main reason why I love tabletop role playing games. I am in love with the concept itself of tabletop role playing games, and I realized that later on, especially very recently, that as I reevaluate myself, I realized that I'm not in love with D&D. I am in love with the concept of role playing and tabletop role playing. That's why I wanted to learn other systems. Not because I hated D&D, not because of the whole OGL fiasco, although it was a huge motivator on me delving into other systems, but because of my passion for the concept itself of tabletop role playing. So with that, it means that I am open to learn other systems, even if they're not D&D, and even if they're not even if they're not set in a medieval fantasy setting, I would try to learn it. So for example, one of the things that I wanted to add in the Tabletop Dive series is Cyberpunk Red. That is something, that is a system that I have been meaning to actually learn, especially after I played Cyberpunk and I watched Edge Runners more than ever. I have been hearing that system for quite a while, but I never really got to learn it. That's also one of the systems that I wanted to learn. And it's not a medieval fantasy setting that it uses. It's far future. So again, I don't hate D&D. And the reason why I'm learning these other systems is not because of the OGL problem, but because I am in love with the tabletop role playing concept itself. And I believe, I would dare say even, that is also the reason why a lot of some people are also trying to learn other systems. It's just that my answer to that question of why is it now that a lot of people are now trying to learn other systems when they didn't before, I think my main answer to that is just like the answer that I provided earlier. While the OGL issue was not the main reason, I believe that it is a huge motivator for a lot of people to delve into other systems. I think not primarily because of the need to find an alternative, but the realization that D&D as a system itself is something that is too close-minded of a point of view that you only have to play D&D, and you only have to learn D&D, and you only have to experience only D&D in the tabletop role-playing game culture. So my main reason why what I'm trying to do, trying to learn other systems, is this. I just really wanted to learn other systems. It has nothing to do with the OGL fiasco. Well, it has little to do with the OGL fiasco. Because even if they, even, I believe, even at least for myself, I would believe that even without the OGL fiasco, I would still do the tabletop dive. I would still do it. It is something that I really wanted to do as a content creator. It is something that I have been doing even before I became a VTuber or a content creator or a streamer. It has been something that I have been doing actually in the background, but not as much as now. Which would actually go into my other reason why I'm doing this, is because, and I think this is the biggest reason why I'm doing this, is because I am trying to build my own system. I am trying to build my own tabletop role-playing game system. It is Project Gear, working title. It is not the final title. It's just a working title that I use. And it is my own system, a tabletop role-playing game system that I've been working on for about, I would say, 2.5 years now. 2.5 years. I've been working on that role-playing game system for a couple of years. Now, you see, one of the things that I needed to do to develop that system as part of like the development process is to look into other systems, learn the core rules of other systems, try to find other role-playing game systems that I might be able to use either as an inspiration or a direct base for my own system, or we can borrow some elements from. That is actually primarily the reason why I was trying to learn other role-playing game systems. So again, I would repeat, the OGL fiasco has actually nothing to do with me trying to learn a new system. It is primarily because I was trying to build my own, and I would need to actually learn other systems for me to do some research about it, and to do some borrowing of styles, borrowing of ideas and whatnot that I can put in my own system. Kind of like what Bruce Lee did with Jeet Kune Do. If we're talking about martial arts, what he basically did is he tried to learn a lot of systems, a lot of fighting systems, a lot of fighting arts, and took elements from each of those fighting styles, the ones that work, and left the ones that doesn't work into his own system, which is Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do is just basically an amalgamation of everything Bruce Lee learned, throwing away what is not useful and keeping what is useful and enhancing those, creating his own fighting style, essentially, his own whole martial art. So that's what I've been trying to do as well. That is also the reason why I needed to learn other systems as well. Well, not really needed, but I wanted. I wanted to do it. But there is also a need to do it because of my project. So that's the reason why I'm also, that's the main reason why I'm also delving into these other systems. Now, I would say that this thing right here, this stream, is just me doing it another way, doing it in another method of something that I have been doing already, even way back. Um, and I believe by streaming, I will be able to share it with other people what I've learned, and maybe I can help out someone that is trying to delve into a new system, give them some insights as someone that has been also diving in for the first time, and you know be able to help them with their decision making if they wanted to learn the system or not, based on my observation as also a first timer. And in regards to my general answer as to why it is happening, why so many people are just now switching to other systems now that the whole OGL fiasco has been surfacing, I think the main reason why, from what I observe at least, uh is the fact that these other systems are now signal boosted more than ever. It's not that they're not marketing themselves well enough. It's just that D&D as a franchise, as an intellectual property itself, is already like a household name for tabletop role playing. It is even evolved further into being synonymous with tabletop role playing. So if you ask a person if they play tabletop role playing games, they would immediately associate it with D&D and nothing else, because that's how big of a franchise, or of a intellectual property, of a brand D&D is. But at the end of the day, it's still a brand, you know. But I think the reason why a lot of people are just now switching, it's not really because they're finding alternatives. It is because they just realized that there are alternatives. Just now, they realized that, oh, there are alternatives. Although some of them would say that, I heard it from someone, I heard that system from someone, and this is just now that I'm trying to learn it. But I did hear it from someone, but I never bothered to learn it. Blah blah blah. I think it's kind of true in some cases, but I would believe that with most people, that's not the case, because I do believe that one of the main reasons why this is happening is because these other publishers of these other RPG systems are now signal boosted the hell out because of the OGL fiasco. Uh, because of how D&D as a brand is so recognizable that now it's having its faults. It in turn signal boosted everything else. Everyone else has been signal boosted, which is something that they really need. You know, because we'll just have to admit there are some people within the tabletop role playing game community. There are some people that really only know D&D. Just only know D&D, and just as a, it would be it's funny, but there might be some people out there in the tabletop role playing game community that just realized that there are other systems and thought that D&D is the only system. That could happen as well. So that's why I said I stated that this is not the only reason why. The OGL is not the only reason why. It's the main motivator, But there are several factors that involve in this. There are several factors. And OGL is kind of only serves as like a signal booster to for people to realize that there are other systems out there. Actually, it's not only D&D. And D&D is not even the best out there in terms of like role-playing game systems. And the core concept of one of the core concepts of TTRPGs, which is there is everyone else is a derivative of D&D because of need. Because D&D, as much as it is a good system, it's not the greatest system out there because it doesn't cover everything that you need in a tabletop role-playing game. It doesn't cover everything. It covers most things, but it doesn't cover everything. Because why? You cannot really use technically D&D in like a non-fantasy setting. You know, you have to modify D&D rule set somewhat in a way that it will complement with a certain setting and whatnot, and a certain style of play, or a certain gameplay mechanic or gimmick. So, yeah, there's that. There's my main reason why I'm trying to do this. And lastly, I would say that my main reason why I'm trying to do this is for educational purposes. Basically, I want to showcase other role-playing game systems that are otherwise, again, systems that have been unfortunately in the back burner for quite a while now because of how big of a thing D&D is. It is time to get them signal boosted more than ever. I've been saying this on the previous stream that now more than ever is the best time to learn other systems. Not because you're trying to find alternatives, but because it is now time to discover that there are other systems out there besides D&D that are probably complementing to your tastes, complementing to your gaming style, or complementing with your DMing style, complementing with the concepts that you're trying to materialize in terms of characters, setting, gameplay gimmicks, and blah blah blah. Just like what I'm doing with my own RPG system. So, anyway, we can go ahead and dive in now to Pathfinder. I've been blabbering for like an hour now, so we're gonna go ahead and dive in to Pathfinder. What we're going to do first is I want to actually watch a quick video of someone which I believe has the best explanation of what Pathfinder is in its most basic detail. On how it basically works on a core rules level, because what we're going to do first is to get an introduction, like just the basics of the basics of how the core rules of Pathfinder works. Let me see if I can pull up that video. Okay, just give me one moment. Trying to see if I can pull up that video. I believe okay, just give me one. Okay, there you go. I was able to pull it up. Let me turn off my music here. Okay. Check if I can capture this one. Okay, there you go. You do some adjustments. Larger here. Okay. All right. I guess that's good. All right. So, um, this is a video from a content creator named Icarus Games. Uh, I actually I actually watched some of his videos, and I definitely would recommend some of his videos, especially with world building and campaign creation, homebrew campaign creation. I did actually watch some of his videos for reference, uh, and I believe that he's one of the best content creators out there for tabletop role playing games in general. And this is a video, basically an introduction to Pathfinder Second Edition. So we're gonna watch this and let's see. Let's see the core rules, core features of Pathfinder Second Edition.
Greetings gamers, my name is Lanto and this video is going to give you everything you need to know to get started playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. In this video I'm going to be going over the very basics of the core gameplay loop. I'm going to be telling you what products are probably best for you to buy depending on whether you're a player, a game master, and whether you have experience with TTRPGs or not. And then I'm going to be pointing you to some more resources to help you dive deeper into this game. Pathfinder 2nd Edition is for people who want an RPG to tell classic fantasy stories in a diverse and wild world, for players who want to express themselves through a huge variety of fun character options, and for GMs who want robust guidance and frameworks that work. So in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you play as a fantasy adventurer, following one of several archetypal classes like fighter, wizard, rogue, or some more unique and interesting things like oracle, thaumaturge, or inventor.
So right from the get-go, as we notice, it seems like that Pathfinder Second Edition is almost similar to D&D Fifth Edition. As a matter of fact, Pathfinder Second Edition, from what I know, is literally a homebrew version of D&D. It's literally based on D&D rules. And they made some adjustments, they made some additions, and blah blah blah. I believe the history of it, the brief history of it is this actually came from my core idea of people that used to work with Wizards of the Coast, that used to work with D&D through Wizards of the Coast. I believe it's the D&D 4th edition. And for those of you who knows, 4th edition is quite controversial. Mainly because of the open gaming license and what they did with the open gaming license back then. A lot of complaints happened. A lot of opposition happened with that. And one of the things that happened is some employees from Wizards of the Coast parted ways with WotC. And what they did is they released a system of their own, which is basically a modified homebrewed version of D&D, I believe at first, and then it just evolved into its own system essentially. So from the get-go, you might see And what I did notice is you might see a lot of elements from D&D um that are also being used in Pathfinder. So I would say that if you are quite familiar with D&D, I would say that it actually helps for you to actually have some background knowledge with playing Dungeons and Dragons or running Dungeons and Dragons, because this would help you learn the system easier.
The core gameplay loop is anytime you want to do something that has a chance of failure, you roll a 20-sided dice and then you add modifiers to that. If the result of that dice roll and those modifiers is equal to or exceeds the target number or difficulty class of the thing that you're trying to do, you succeed. Now, Pathfinder 2nd Edition is different to something like D&D 5e in the way that it handles its degrees of success. In Pathfinder, there are 4 degrees of success. There are critical failure, failure, success, and critical success. Anytime you exceed the DC, the difficulty class, by 10 or more, your degree of success increases by 1. So if you would normally hit a creature, but you roll 10 over what its armor class is, you critically hit the creature. Same when it...
So, okay. So now we can see a huge difference with how they handle critical hits from the get-go. Because you see in D&D 5th edition, as long as you roll a 20, it's a critical hit, right? But here in Pathfinder, it doesn't matter how high you roll, as long as you exceed the difficulty class or the armor class by 10 with your roll, you will get a critical success. If you meet it, if you meet the DC or the AC, you'll get only success. But if you exceed it by plus 10 or beyond, you'll get critical success. Now, I actually would say that this is something that I'm kind of been using with my homebrew games, my private games. I call it the severity DC, because sometimes I felt like sometimes that if a player rolls something that is super close to the basic difficulty class, but uh, not quite super successful, but successful nonetheless, I give them an appropriate like response of the situation based on how high they roll over the DC of a skill check and blah blah blah. So because sometimes there are some moments that they rolled they rolled lower, but not really super low, that I can consider giving them like an out of a situation. For example, if they rolled low on a certain skill check, uh, if they didn't roll really super low, just one or two numbers, just one or two numbers lower than the base DC, um, I would say to them that they did fail the check, but they will get something instead that they didn't expect, or something, some sort of a leeway, some sort of like an alternate method. But if they rolled like really really low, let's say 5 and below, that's literally super low, that they have no chance of succeeding, and they would, get more complications because they rolled so low. Um, that is something that I kind of already been using with my D&D games, and Pathfinder seems like they have the same system, uh, with the severity of the rolls.
When it comes to failure, if you roll 10 below the DC of any given check, your degree of success goes down by 1. Now, some weapons, different abilities, feats, and spells have additional rules that trigger on critical failure or critical success, so you've got a lot more variety in the things that happen when you are making attacks, performing checks, or casting spells. The biggest difference between Pathfinder 2nd Edition and many other game systems like D&D 5e is the 3-action economy. In Pathfinder 2nd Edition, every turn you have 3 actions and a reaction.
So this is interesting because you see action economy in most RPGs, in most tabletop role-playing games. Action economy is something that you really, really, really have to consider, especially for balancing purposes, especially for those DMs like me that homebrew creatures on our own, homebrew bosses and whatnot, especially bosses. You have to consider action economy as a super huge factor on how you balance your encounters. Because I'm gonna give you an example. If let's say a group of 7 characters or 7 people would beat, let's say a big dragon. 7 people have each of their turns. Once their turn comes in the initiative, right? So imagine the group of 7 being able to hit the dragon 7 times, but the dragon is only able to defend himself once. So basically, action economy is ruined already, right? So that's why dragons have these legendary actions, that they multi-attack, blah blah blah, because of action economy. Against a group of many people, if one creature is against a group of many people, the many people would easily win because of overwhelming action economy. So that's why you really have to consider action economy when creating a homebrew creature and whatnot, or balancing an encounter. Now, with the Pathfinder system, action economy in Pathfinder system is very interesting because of the 3-action rule. It basically adds so much options to characters and the on the options that they wanted to do as the character during combat, and mixing and matching them depending on the actions that they wanted to do. And this, I would dare say, kind of puts players and enemies, or characters, PCs and enemies, into a more level playing field in terms of action economy. I might be wrong, but even if the characters have 3 actions that they can spend, even if the characters have 3 actions that they can spend, the creatures have also 3 actions to spend. So it kind of levels the field more properly than in D&D, wherein if the other group has more members than the creatures that are fighting them, they're screwed up.
You can use those 3 actions to do anything you want. You want to move, and sprint across the battlefield? Use your 3 actions. You want to stand there and attack something 3 times? You can do, but each attack after the first is going to have a penalty. This is called the multiple attack penalty, and it starts at -5 with your second attack and goes to -10 with your third, though you can lower that with some features. Everything that you can possibly do in combat in Pathfinder 2nd Edition is broken up into this action economy. So some things will only cost a single action. A lot of spells cost 2 actions to cast, giving you that third action to play around with each turn. And then some actions are also free, meaning you don't need to use one of those 3 actions you get every turn to do them. Reactions, like in a lot of games, only happen when something triggers them. The classic example of this is the attack of opportunity. This only applies to fighters and certain monsters from the start of the game, though you can pick this up as a feat later on. But anytime a creature moves out of your threatened range, you can use your action to make an attack against them. The fact that attack of opportunity isn't universal like it is in a lot of other games frees up the battlefield and allows creatures to move around a lot more, which gives you a lot more dynamic and interesting combats instead of where everyone comes together in a line and just hits each other till they're dead. The other 3 big things that you need to know before you start playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition is the proficiency system, traits, and types of bonuses. There are 4 levels of proficiency: trained, master, expert, and legendary, and these add a +2, 4, 6, or 8 depending on which level of training you have received. The big difference with the proficiency system in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and the thing that trips a lot of people up, is when you are trained in a thing, regardless of what that thing is, and you make a check, you add your level to the roll. This means that as you level up, you get significantly better at the things that you are good at. Next up, we have the trait system. This is one of my favorite things about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Traits are a keyword system that conveys a whole bunch of extra information without taking up a lot of space on the page. They are universal to whatever the trait is talking about, and they really help you to interact with mechanics in a much more deep and meaningful way. So if you have a spell and that spell specifically targets undead, that undead is going to be a trait, and those creatures that have the undead trait also get a bunch of other benefits that don't need to be listed in their stat block. This is one of the things that trips new people up a lot because it moves a lot of the rules out of stat blocks and spells and weapons and to the trait section. And this makes it a little bit more difficult when you're first learning the rules because everything isn't all in the one place. But it means that as you develop an understanding for the system, when you look at a rule and it has a trait, you know immediately all of the extra ways that that's going to interact with the rest of the system. And the last big thing that I think you need to know when you're coming into Pathfinder 2nd Edition is the way that bonuses work. Now, if you're coming from D&D 5e, let's say, you're used to advantage and disadvantage. Fairly simple, fairly binary. If you are getting some kind of bonus to something, you're usually getting advantage. If you're getting some kind of penalty, it's usually disadvantage. Pathfinder 2nd Edition works a bit differently. Instead, you get several different types of bonus. You get circumstance, item, and status bonuses. Circumstance bonuses come from the circumstance of your situation. Say you are a fighter and you've just raised your shield. That will give you a circumstance bonus to your AC because you're behind your shield. Item bonuses come from items you are wearing or carrying. So an +1 set of armor will give you a +1 item bonus to your armor class. Then we come to status bonuses. Now these come from conditions, spells, and other effects like that. An example of this would be the heroism spell, which gives you a +1 to attack rolls, saving throws, skill checks, and perception checks. So pretty much every bonus or penalty that you get in PF2 is going to come from one of these 3 categories, and the important thing to note is that you only take the best or worst from each of these categories. So if you have an item that is giving you a +1 to your AC and you get another item that gives you a +2 to your AC, you only take the +2, you don't combine them. There are a few exceptions to this, but generally the rule is you only take the best penalty or bonus. So now let's talk about getting into the system. What do you want to buy first, and what is your kind of buying path once you've gotten started in the system? If you are brand new to tabletop role-playing games, if you have very little experience playing any other games, you want to start with the beginner box. This thing is loaded with information and resources and tools to get you started. It's got
Bruh, I tried, and I don't know if this is something that because of the country that I'm in. For the love of me, I cannot find a Pathfinder beginner's box. I was really trying to find one so I can, own one and see, just a starter kit that I can use on an actual table. I was trying to find one, and it is difficult to find a Pathfinder beginner's box, but it is actually easy to find a D&D Essentials kit locally here in my country. So I wonder how can I actually get this. I'm trying to get this one. I hope I will be able to get this. Hopefully at a cheaper price as well.
A small adventure to help you and your players, if you're the GM, get started and understand the system. It's got a solo adventure for GMs. It's also got reference cards and pre-built character sheets, really user-friendly character sheets for helping you build your own characters, and it's got a bunch of mini tokens and a map. Seriously, this thing is super heavy and packed with content and is the perfect place to start if you're brand new to role-playing games. Once you've played through the starter set and are familiar with the basic rules, I'd say pick up the core rulebook. This is going to give you all of your information for playing the game, everything you need to know about the base character classes and ancestries, as well as give you some advice on being a game master, and it has a primer to the world of Golarion and the Age of Lost Omens, which is the default campaign setting for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And then if you're looking to continue your journey from the beginner box, I'd recommend picking up the Troubles in Otari adventure path. This runs you from levels 2 to 4, continues the storyline that you started in the adventure path, and gets you to grip with some of the character advancement and making slightly higher level characters. If you have played a TTRPG before, or you're comfortable with kind of the core gameplay loop of a D20 system, I'd recommend you check out my biggest differences between Pathfinder 2nd Edition and D&D 5e video first. This video is going to go through some of the high level differences between the two systems, give you an idea of whether or not the Pathfinder system sounds interesting to you. But next, I'd say you want to pick up the core rulebook. This is going to give you everything that you need and will be an invaluable reference resource while you're at the table. Now, if you're coming to the game as a player, the first thing I would purchase if I were you is the core rulebook. That's got everything you need to get started. It's going to have all of your base ancestries and classes, all of the rules of the game, all of the magic items and spells that you're going to reference in those early games. Next, I check out my character creation video. This is where I walk through the process of making my first character in PF2, and it kind of goes through the character creation process, filling in the character sheet, all of that good stuff. Then if you're a mechanically minded player and you want more options, I'd suggest picking up the Advanced Player's Guide. This has got a bunch of new ancestries, class options, and a whole bunch of other player options to give you more flexibility and more choice with your characters. Then if you are playing in the Golarion setting, in the default PF2 setting, I'd say pick up the Lost Omens World Guide. This is an introduction to the world of Golarion in the Age of Lost Omens. It goes a little bit beyond what's included in the core book, and it will give you a primer on the world that you'll be playing in. If your game master is running a homebrew world, you don't need to pick that up, but it is still a really interesting read. And from there are 4 books at the time of recording that I'd recommend that you look into. The first of these is Guns and Gears. This introduces the Gunslinger and Inventor classes and gives you a whole bunch of extra options as a player if you want to have some kind of tech involved in your character. Next, I'd recommend The Dark Archive. This is a book filled with occultist magic and intrigue. It introduces the Thaumaturge and Psychic classes and has a bunch of information on playing one of these more occult attuned characters. Then we have the Book of the Dead. This introduces a bunch of new playable undead ancestries and archetypes, as well as giving you a whole host of new undead related options. And then finally, Secrets of Magic. If you are a spellcaster, you're going to want to get this book. It introduces a whole bunch of new spells, new magical items and curiosities, and it introduces a whole bunch of new magical subsystems like ley lines and true names that are going to allow you to interact with magic in really unique and fun ways. If you're stepping into the role of Game Master for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the first thing I'd recommend you do is check out this video where I talk about all the reasons why I left 5th edition behind and moved over to Pathfinder 2nd edition from the point of view of a game master. Next, after you've picked up the core rulebook and are familiar with the basic rules, I'd recommend you check out the Game Mastery Guide. This contains a whole host of information for game masters, including tips on how to build your world, as well as a whole load of tools for building new encounters, building monsters and items and hazards, for running subsystems, which are additional variant rules that can make your game even more interesting. And then it also includes an NPC gallery, which is a bunch of generic creatures like noble or spy or guard that you can introduce into your world. After the Game Mastery Guide, you're probably going to pick up one of the bestiaries. There are 3 mainline bestiaries at the moment. All of them are filled with really unique and interesting monsters. I'd start with Bestiary 1, as that's got all the kind of classic fantasy monsters in it, and then either work your way through or jump straight to Bestiary 3, because that has got the weirdest stuff in it. And then if you're planning on playing in the Age of Lost Omens in the world of Golarion, pick up the Lost Omens World Guide, and I'd also recommend picking up the Lost Omens Travel Guide. The World Guide gives you an overview of the kind of geopolitics of the region, but the Travel Guide gives you that intimate look at the day-to-day life of different peoples in the world of Golarion, and I personally think that is much more useful for running moment-to-moment gameplay at the table. Now, the big thing to know about PF2 is that all of the mechanical rules are available for free on the Archives of Nethys. All of this is going to be linked down in the description.
Okay, so Archive of Nethys is something that we'll be actually diving in later. We'll be visiting that site later and see what it's all about. I did actually already visited that site, but I wanted to do it on stream as well, to take a look at the website and see what it's all the things that we can see there. It's basically a website that hosts the core rules for D&D. I'm sorry, Pathfinder Second Edition, as well as like supplements and whatnot. And it's literally a website that Paizo themselves, the makers of Pathfinder Second Edition, sponsored and endorsed. So it's literally an official site where all of the core rules of Pathfinder Second Edition are located. I believe, except for adventure paths and modules and some archetypes, heritages, classes that are behind a paywall. So yeah, we'll be doing that later, a little bit later.
Below. That means that you don't actually have to buy any books. I still would really recommend picking up some of the core books, because being able to flick through and read them in that format is really useful, especially for me, but especially for like monster reference at the table. Being able to look at the rules freely available online on the Archives of Nethys is super handy. If you want a character builder that's going to walk you through the options you have available to you, there are things like Path Builder and the Wayfarer's Guide. Links to those will be in the description below. And I'm also going to put links to a whole bunch of other resources for learning the game, as well as a bunch of other YouTubers who focus on different stuff to help you really immerse yourself in the system. And
the character creator will be also visiting one of them later, I believe. We will visit Path Builder, and we will actually try to build our very first Pathfinder character there on that website, and see what it's all about. We will also actually watch the character creation video later, so we can like follow through on what's we can follow along on the steps for character creation for Pathfinder Second Edition.
Understand what it's all about. If you haven't already, definitely check out my video on the biggest differences between Pathfinder 2nd Edition and D&D 5e. But until next time, happy gaming.
Alright, so that's a video from Icarus Games about getting started with Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So what we're going to do first, is to visit the website where the rules for Pathfinder, rules and content for Pathfinder 2nd Edition are located, which is Archive of Nethys. Again, this is a website which is totally official, and it's totally endorsed and sponsored by Paizo themselves, the makers of Pathfinder Second Edition, and we'll take a really quick tour of the website and see the things that we can do there, see the things that we can look up there in terms of like rules and whatnot. So just give me actually I will be taking like a super short break. I'm just needed to fill my water, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back really, really quick, so don't go away. All right, we're back. Okay, so excuse me. Um, so here it is. the archive of Nethys. Again, this is a website wherein you can find the official core rules and content for Pathfinder. Excuse me, Pathfinder Second Edition. And again, this is a website that is totally free to access and use. And this is a website that even Paizo themselves approved and endorse. So this is a not a pirate website. You're not pirating anything. You are not, stealing anything in terms of like Pathfinder content. This is literally a website that is a repository of information about Pathfinder. I believe that the only things that are not here are the adventure paths, the adventures, and the lore book. The Age of Omens lore book, I believe, are not here as well. So, but everything about the core rules and whatnot, and well, some extra as well are in this website. So this is the homepage right here. So we have like the change logs here. So it says here, new to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, click here. So we're gonna go ahead and click this. Let's see where it will take us as a newbie to Pathfinder. Well, if it loads, that is. Okay, so I guess that doesn't load. So let's see if we can check on this menu. There is a menu here that you can expand. You can just hover, and we have several menus here that you can choose from. Character creation, we got equipment, we got feats, game mastery, the rules, the setting, spells, and information about the archive itself. So yeah, so it doesn't load. I guess we can just go to the rules then. Let's see what we have with the rules. Seems like it's having some okay, let me see if I can refresh. Wow, it is not loading at all. Let me see if I can fix this one. Doesn't load, huh? Seems like that it doesn't load for some reason. Let me see. Okay, I guess we need to change the plans. I guess what we can do, is to see if I'll be able to go ahead and jump with the character creation stuff. Just give me one moment here. Let me see if I can do it again. Okay. Oh, this is the first one. Oh, okay. I think the server crashed for the website then. That is so weird. Website is the website crashed. Huh. Yeah, the website crashed unfortunately. The website crashed unfortunately, so unfortunately we would have to shelve that in the meantime, since like that the archive of Nethys website is currently unavailable. So we will have to go into another route. I guess we can go ahead and jump right straight away to I can go ahead and jump straight away to character creation. And I'm gonna go ahead and check every now and then on the website and see if we can visit it a little bit later. But in the meantime, we will have to shelve it in the meantime. So and see if we can revisit it later. In the meantime, we'll just go ahead and watch a video about character creation, and maybe we can go ahead and like follow along. Get the core mechanics of character creation at least in the meantime. So just give me one moment here. Okay. Sorry about that. So professional a streamer. Sorry about that. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if we can just watch this in the meantime. I will try to check the website every now and then, and hopefully we can get in. We can get in later. Again, this is Icarus Games, and this is a Pathfinder 2nd Edition character creation video that we'll go through the character creation process. And let's go right into it.
Gamers, my name is Anto, and over the last couple of months I've been into Pathfinder 2nd Edition and making a whole bunch of content around it, which I'm going to continue to do. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. But today I'm going to be making my very first Pathfinder 2nd Edition character. Now this last weekend I played Weeby Gobbos from Pathfinder 1st Edition with a couple of friends, and in a couple of weeks time we're going to be playing a Pathfinder 2nd Edition port of Weeby Gobbos 2. So I am going to make my very first Pathfinder 2nd Edition character and get my first actual gameplay experience of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm super excited for this, and I thought I'd take you through the process of making a character, show you what the process is, how difficult it is, maybe dispel some myths about the difficulty of making a character, and see what we come up with at the end. This video is sponsored by me and my Kickstarter, which is running right now. I'm going to talk more about that later, but for now, let's dive straight into it. Now the character that I'm going to be making for this one shot is Poog, the Cannibal Killer.
He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
This is one of the pre-generated goblins from Weeby Gobbos number 1, and we're taking these characters and moving them through to level 3 and changing over to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So we're going to be making a level 3 character today, and there was no way that I was going to be making my first character and not make a Thaumaturge from the Dark Archive. This is one of the coolest classes in my opinion, and who knows when the next time, as a forever GM, I'm going to get the chance to be a player, so absolutely I'm being a thaumaturge. As we go through this process, I really want to know what your favourite class is, what class you would want to most play in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so let me know down in the comments below. But for now, what we want to do is we want to fire up our character sheet, our core rulebook, and the Dark Archive book, and start building this character. So here we are in the core rulebook, we're in the character creation section, and we're just going to go through this whole process. So step one is creating our concept. We've already got our broad concept. We've got this goblin thaumaturge that's a level 3 character and kind of graduated from our first one shot, so we don't have to worry about that too much, but we do need to focus on the ABCs, our ancestry, background, and class. Ancestry and class are both taken care of. We're a goblin thaumaturge, but we will need to choose our feats and choose our ability scores and figure all of that stuff out as we go along, and then we're going to need to choose our background. So if we look on the ancestries page here and look at goblins are short, scrappy, energetic people who have spent millennia maligned and feared. Our ability boosts are dexterity and charisma and 1 free boost, and our ability flaws is wisdom. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to our character sheet and get started here. So the character's name is Poog, the Cannibal Killer. And that is because at the end of our first one shot, Poog was the one that delivered the killing blow to a notorious cannibal in the woods. So we're going to fill in all of our details here. Next, we want to focus on our scores. So from our core rulebook, we know that goblins get dexterity and charisma. They get boosts to those, so we increase those from 10 to 12. So next thing we want to do, we want to jump over to the goblin entry here in the core rulebook and check that out. So with our goblin, we get 6 hit points to start, so we want to make sure we're applying that. So let's jump back over to our character sheet and put 6 in our maximum.
Okay, let me check again the website and see if we can actually get in. Just give me one moment. Really, really quick. Okay. Give me one moment here and let's see if it loads. Okay, here's the weird thing though. You see, Archive of Nethys both have the first edition and the second edition on their website. But apparently the first edition works, but not the second edition. Apparently, and there's also Starfinder as well. So that is something that we can delve in later. But apparently, the second edition website is down, unfortunately, and it seems like it would take a while for us to actually it will actually take us a while to do the to actually be able to visit the website itself. Okay, just give me one moment. Okay, one more try, and let's see if we can do it. Just give me one moment here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm just trying to load it up again. Okay. All right. Apparently, our Captain Nethys still doesn't work, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to do this instead. We're gonna go ahead and watch another video, and this time it is from a different content creator, which is No Not Once. And this is basically his beginner's guide to Pathfinder Second Edition. Character creation basics. So, no, no, no. Okay, I think this would be a better video that we can search. Ancestry. Okay. Just give me one moment. Sorry about this. Just just ignore. Just ignore. Just ignore. Oh, I guess this is. I think this is a. Okay, I think. Hopefully. Hopefully, this could be a good video. About an introduction, real quick introduction into character creation. So let's go ahead and watch. This is the first time that I'm actually watching this. So I'm not really sure what to expect. So, okay.
In general, when you make a character, you want to start with a concept. Then, you can combine it with your knowledge of the game to create your character. But when you don't have any knowledge of the game, your concept can come out but that's okay. We're just gonna barrel ahead so we can get used to the character creation rules in Pathfinder. In Pathfinder, your character is made up of an ancestry, a background, and a class, and 4 free ability boosts, and a bunch of feats. A feat is like a molecule of character progression. You can have ancestry feats, class feats, general feats, or skill feats, with some overlap between them. As you level up, you'll get more feats, and that will define your character's progression. What kind of things are on our character sheet anyway? We have our 6 ability scores: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These all start at 10 with a modifier of +0. We also have our proficiencies. What are proficiencies? Anytime you do something in Pathfinder, you'll probably be rolling a d20 plus an ability score modifier plus a proficiency modifier. Then you're trying to meet or exceed a DC difficulty class. Let's say you want to do something acrobatic. You'll roll a d20. You'll add your dexterity modifier, then you'll have to see how proficient you are at acrobatics. There's 5 levels of proficiency. At level 1, the bonuses look something like this. So if you're trained in acrobatics, you'll be getting a +3 bonus. You also have your class abilities, your feats, and a few other things like hit points, your size, move speed, senses, traits, and other random things. Then of course you have your equipment and your languages. Let's do as they recommend you do and start with our ABCs. Step 1. Your ancestry. There's 6 core ancestries in Pathfinder: human, elf, dwarf, halfling, gnome, and goblin. The blank canvas, the alien, mole people, downtrodden tiny humans, anti-boredom fairies, and dangerous toddlers. When you pick your ancestry, it will tiny human.
Aliens, mole people, downtrodden tiny humans, anti-boredom
fairies, and dangerous toddlers. When you pick your ancestry, it will come with some ability boosts and ability flaws. Some of them might be predetermined, like you have to take a boost in dexterity, but others you can pick. If you have an ability boost, it means you add 2 to your ability score and 1 to your modifier. If you have an ability flaw, it means you subtract 2 from your ability score and -1 from your ability modifier. In each stage of your character creation, you cannot apply a boost to the same ability score. They must be different. Your ancestry will also give you a few other things: hit points, size, speed, your ancestry languages, senses, maybe some other abilities like feats. Once you pick your ancestry, you'll also have to pick one heritage and one ancestry feat. A heritage is just like a sub-ancestry. You'll probably get some benefit from your heritage. You'll also get to pick an ancestry feat. For example, Halfling, you'll see level 1 Halfling feats, and you just pick one. Step 2, your background. Your background is just your character's job before they became an adventurer. Your background will also give you some ability boosts. Some of them might be semi-predetermined. For example, you have to pick between strength and constitution, and sometimes you'll get a free ability boost too. The same rule applies as before, they need to be different. You also get trained proficiency in 2 skills and 1 skill feat. But what are skills? It's basically the way we categorize tasks in Pathfinder. Let's say you want to do a backflip. You're going to roll a d20, add an ability modifier and a proficiency modifier. But how do we know which of which to add? Well, that's where skills come in. For a backflip, we'd probably look at acrobatics, which
It's basically kind of also the same with D&D 5e. A lot of these have similarities with D&D 5e, but also a lot of these have like they're unique to Pathfinder, like diplomacy, lore, occultism, thievery, society.
which would tell us you need to add a dexterity modifier. Then you can see your proficiency in acrobatics. If you're trained in acrobatics, you'll add a 3. Of course, that only applies to level 1. Let's change our ability scores and add our skill feat and our background proficiencies. Something you can remember is that if you ever become trained in a skill, but you're already trained in that skill, you can usually just select another skill of your choice to become trained in. Next, we get to pick a class. Let's change our ability scores and add our skill feat and our background proficiencies. Something you can remember is that if you ever become trained in a skill, but you're already trained in that skill.
If you ever become trained in a skill, but you're already trained in that skill, you can usually just select another skill of your choice to become trained in.
You can usually just select another skill of your choice to become trained in. Next, we get to pick a class. There's 12 core classes in Pathfinder. Your class will give you 1 predetermined ability boost, or possibly a semi-predetermined ability boost, which will be your key ability score. Your class will also give you some proficiencies, including perception, your saving throws, skills, attacks, that's weapons, defense, armor, possibly spells or class DC, depending on the class that you pick. It'll also give you some more hit points that you'll add to your ancestry hit points. Finally, you'll get your class abilities and class specialization. Class specialization is not the official name, but most classes have something that you have to pick, like some kind of subclass. Your class abilities might include a class feat, a general feat, spell casting, or some other thing, but every class is different. What you want to do if you're on Archives of Nethys is look at this little table, level 1, and see what class features you get.
Well, that is, if we can actually visit the site. Of all the times that this site will shut down, it is this time that it shuts down. Just when we need it.
Yet. We already added our ancestry and our background and our initial proficiencies, so we can just cross those out, and we can look at what's left. For example, if you're a ranger, you get Hunt Prey, a special action, you'll get a class feat, and you'll get Hunter's Edge, your class specialization. If you're a bard, you'll get Occult Spellcasting. For more info on that, check out the Spellcasters video. You'll get a spell repertoire. Again, watch that video. That means that a bard is a spontaneous spellcaster. A bard also gets composition spells. That's a type of focus spell. For more info on focus spells, you could watch my focus spell video. And a muse. That's the bard's version of the class specialization. Step 4. Your character gets 4 free ability boosts. You can put these boosts into any ability score, but each of these 4 must be different from each other. Step 5. Ability score dependent things. Some of your statistics depended on your ability scores, except you hadn't finalized your ability scores until step 4. You have to add your constitution modifier to your hit points. You might get bonus languages based on your intelligence modifier. You might also get extra skills based on your intelligence modifier in your class. Now's where you can go back and fill in those gaps. Step 6. Go through your feats. If you haven't done so already, now's your chance to go through the feats that you've gotten. Perhaps they changed what you're proficient in. Finally, step 7. Pick your equipment. You start with 15 gold pieces, and let me make this easy for you. You're going to want to buy an adventurer's pack. Then you'll only have 13 gold and 5 silver. Then you can buy a melee weapon. Make sure you check what you're proficient in. You can get a ranged weapon, armor, and any other relevant optional equipment you might want. If you want a shield, a musical instrument, or if you're a wizard, maybe you want a material component pouch. There's a few more things you need to calculate after that. For example, your AC will equal 10 plus your dexterity modifier, plus your armor proficiency, plus your armor bonus. It's a bit more complicated than that, but I'll cover that in a later video. There are a lot of other rules that might be relevant for your character, but you probably don't need to worry about it at level 1. For example, how many items can you carry? If you want more info on how to fill out a character sheet, check out my character sheet video.
Okay, so that's Pathfinder character creation in 7 minutes or less. Actually, it is well explained. It is kind of well explained. How the whole process, almost the whole process of the character creation. Oh, and I think Archive of Nethys should be running now. I just checked it, and I was able to get in. Let me see if it will load up. And I guess I jinxed it. Yep, I guess I jinxed it. I guess I jinxed it. Yeah, I jinxed it. Sorry. Never mind. Never mind. Let's see. Yeah, the website is still not. Oh, okay. What the hell? Okay, I think what's happening is the website is now loading really slow. It's kind of unreliable to navigate in the meantime. I don't know. I guess at this point we can just go ahead and call it another day for because what I wanted to do. Okay, here's what I wanted to do. Okay. Hear me out, right? This is what I wanted to do, what I planned to do originally. What I plan to do is to, if we are able to actually visit the Archive of Nethys website, we'll be using that to look up the rules and whatnot, so that we can be guided with the character creation with our concept, because I do already have a concept in mind of a character that I wanted to create, but I wanted to have like something to refer to with character options and whatnot while we are making the character. There are character builders there, that path builder and whatnot, but I wanted to have the reference, the guides, right? So that's why. And in the meantime, as much as I wanted to navigate the website, it's kinda unreliable to navigate in the meantime. So I was trying to see if we can navigate at least the website a little bit more properly, so we can use it in tandem with character creation as well. That's why I keep on checking if we can navigate the website now. Because if not, we may, I don't know, we may have to move it some other time. We may have to move it some other time instead. With the whole character creation and whatnot. Which, what I'm thinking about, okay, hear me out. What I'm thinking about is I'm not scheduling it on Monday. I'm gonna be scheduling it on the next stream, literally, so we can have like a double stream of how the core rules of Pathfinder, going through the archive of Nethys, because I know we can just wait for archive of Nethys to work, but it's buggy right now. It's buggy as hell. It doesn't load really well, so that's why we cannot navigate it. And what I'm thinking of here is we can call it off in the meantime. Wait for the website to be fixed. Hopefully by the next stream. Literally by the next stream. Surely by the next stream it will be fixed. And then on the next stream we will tackle character creation, the core rules and whatnot, through the archive of Nethys, character options and whatnot, blah blah blah. All of those. Because having the website running is really good when it comes to navigating, to creating our first character and learning about all of the options that we have currently. So, okay, all right. So, in this case, then, so we're gonna call it at that. Unfortunately. And I'm sorry, this is quite a short stream. It's only been 2 hours, so it is a short stream, unfortunately. I would have to cut it in the meantime. Unless... sorry, just checking something. Okay. Alright, never mind. It is really not working. So, okay. In this case, then, unfortunately, we would have to cut it in the meantime because I wanted to actually have it like as a whole, alright? So, we'll have to cut it in the meantime. Now, what I'm going to do is literally the next time that we stream, which is on Wednesday, 12 p.m. EST, we will be continuing with learning Pathfinder by going through the archive of Nethys, and we will be also doing the character creation during that time as well. At least we were able to tackle like the basic rules, the basic core rules of Pathfinder, and well, the introductory rules for Pathfinder at least. So we'll be doing that on the next stream, right? So we're gonna I will actually have to end it in the meantime. I guess what I'm also going to do is just a stream extra on Wednesday, extra longer on Wednesday, because that's also gaming day. So I would have to actually do stream a little bit longer on Wednesday anyway. So we're gonna do that on Wednesday, and I promise we're gonna do everything that we need to do on Wednesday. Okay, we just have to end it in the meantime. All right. So anyway, thank you so much for those who dropped by, for those who chatted, would lurk, followed. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And I will be seeing you on Wednesday, 12 p.m. EST, for yet another stream. And I promise we'll be getting a longer stream on Wednesday, okay? So we're gonna have to end it in the meantime, alright? So, anyway, again, it is me, your armored VTuber, Ryu Shinden, signing off, and as always, brave on. Bye-bye!